There's nothing as American as apple pie. It's sweet, with hints of cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, and vanilla. Oh, I bet your mouth is just watering thinking about it. But is apple pie even American? And what does its Americanization have to do with Kazakhstan, England, the Netherlands, and Johnny Appleseed? Stay tuned as we slice into the truth about this sweet and spicy dessert. I don't know about you, but I love the sight of a steaming apple pie that's fresh out of the oven and the smell of apple and cinnamon wafting throughout the house. If you've never made apple pie before, let me show you the basics. You start by peeling and slicing apples. Be sure to pick the right apples, though. You don't want apples that'll be too soft after you bake them. Granny Smith, Braeburn, and Pink Lady all work well. And there are other options, but I'm in the middle of baking.
Don't forget about my signature apple pie.
Toss the apples with a mix of sugar, salt, and spices, such as cinnamon and nutmeg. Let this sit while you make the pie crust. When the crust is ready, spoon the apple mixture in and cover it with another piece of crust. Or if you're feeling adventurous, create a lattice using strips of the crust. Now the pie is ready to bake. Although many people consider apple pie to be American, apples are not. The earliest apples grew in Central Asia, in what we know today as Kazakhstan. In 328 BCE, Alexander the Great enjoyed apples so much that he brought them back to Macedonia. From there, they quickly spread throughout Europe. When Europeans first arrived in North America, there were no apples. They did find a similar fruit they called crab apples, but they were too tart to be used in pies. So apples and other fruits the settlers enjoyed had to be imported from Europe. But how did apples become so abundant in America? Legend has it that folk hero Johnny Appleseed spread the seeds across the country, making the fruit plentiful. Born John Chapman, Appleseed didn't sow apple seeds across the country to help spread the fruit. He did it for that most American of desires, wealth. In the early 1800s, the United States pioneer law allowed anyone who claimed a piece of open land would own it. One way to establish a claim to land was to plant 50 apple trees. How do you like them apples? Appleseed planted trees throughout Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Illinois, over more than 260,000 square kilometers, and became a land baron. Once orchards had grown on the land, he sold them to settlers. The first printed recipe for apple pie does not come from America, however. It appeared in an English cookbook in 1381. Cooks baked those pies in pans known as coffins, and the crust wasn't edible. Dutch bakers perfected the first edible crust in the early 1500s. They also developed the lattice-like crust pattern. Although the English apple pie recipes included other fruits, the early immigrants to America had to be more frugal with their ingredients. Their apple pies only contained apples. So American apples really came from Europe. And although pie crust came from the Netherlands, wheat was first domesticated in Asia. So really it's as American as European Asian pie. Columbus brought fats like butter and lard to the New World, and spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove originated in Sri Lanka and Indonesia. When the settlers arrived, no apple pie ingredients grew in North America. But like the United States, apple pie is the culmination of products from various cultures brought to this new land. The first recipe for apple pie found in the United States appears in 1796 in the young country's first cookbook, American Cookery. In the early 1900s, a New York Times article stated that pie is the American symbol of prosperity, and no pie-eating people can ever be permanently vanquished. All right then. The phrase, as American as apple pie, may have first been used to depict the homemaking skills of the wife of President Herbert Hoover. The term was used again a decade later to describe the tragic increase of lynchings. The term became popular during World War II as American soldiers said they were fighting for mom and apple pie. Is apple pie American? Maybe, maybe not. But it certainly is popular across the United States. And as long as it remains as yummy as it is, it doesn't really matter. The real question is, do I want a slice of apple pie or pumpkin pie? Oh, I can't decide. Oh, but now I'm wondering why people are so obsessed with pumpkin spice. Join us as we find out on another episode of Origins of Food.